Hey everybody, it's Shadowstar here, and today I am going to be ranking every season of Legends of Tomorrow from worst to best. Well, from least favorite to favorite, because Legends is a show I hold near and dear to my heart, so even though there are some seasons that are better than others, there are none that are truly awful. I enjoy all of the seasons, but naturally some are better than others. But which ones do I enjoy the most? Well, let's find out, because honestly, Legends is just such a delightful show, and some people love the way it turned out, others say it got worse. I'm entirely different, but at the same time, let's get started with my least favorite, Season 5. So, Season 5 was still a pretty decent season. Like I said, no bad seasons. There was still some good episodes. The episode where they're trapped in TV was good. There was some good character moments. And, Astra learning to be a good guy is okay, but otherwise, I don't feel like there was as many heavy-hitting episodes for the most part. The first episode with the introduction and, the documentary was one of the best episodes there is, but I feel like the middle portion of the season wasn't that exciting. I felt like they could have done a lot more with the season set up the idea of historical villains coming back from the dead, and that could have been an exciting idea, but they didn't do really too much with it. Obviously, this is the point where Legends was leaning more into the silly side, which, granted, sometimes works really well, like in a documentary episode or a TV episode, and so on. That, and as a villain, the Fates never really felt like an engaging villain. Also, the timeline never was truly fixed. That still happened, so I guess it had repercussions for the Arrowverse, which will just never be mentioned again. But yeah, I mean, it was alright. It's a season where Charlie leaves, it's a very heavy Constantine season. But I just feel like that season didn't have as many heavy-hitting episodes, but it still had some good moments. Similarly, I'm going to go Season 6. Now, it is slightly better because there were moments I enjoy. I enjoy the dynamic between Bishop and Sarah. Bishop is a villain I actually enjoy, compared to, say, the Fates, at least. Bishop's a villain I actually enjoy, and, he's a fun, charismatic villain, even though his plan isn't super in-depth. Now, this season does contain literally my least favorite episode with the final frame, but otherwise, it's still a decent season. I like the idea of Sarah being lost and they gotta go find her, although that does feel very similar to the plot of Supergirl Season 6. But, oh well, that's not their fault. Sarah being missing, the whole revelation of Sarah turning into a cloned alien, Gary turning up into an alien. I like them delving into aliens in this season now that we're on Earth Prime and we can actually do something with aliens. And there was a bit more continuity, except for the bowling episode, which just completely fucks over everything, but let's ignore that one episode and focus on the fact that Bishop's an engaging villain. Sarah had some great moments, I feel like, obviously, there was good moments in this season for, say, Astra. Behrad had some good moments, like in Bay of Squids. Ava really got to come into her own now that she was leading the ship. All in all, I feel like this this season was a lot more well-crafted. Speaking of seasons, we have Season 4. Some people say Season 4 is the turning point. Now, I don't believe it's a turning point for the worst, but it is definitely a turning point where the show very much started to lead into more of the carefree nature instead of the heaviness that it had in the early seasons. But honestly, I still felt like it handled it well. The original Zari was still around, Nate's still around, certain characters were still around that were enjoyable. Sarah, this season was trying to have more fun things. I actually enjoyed some of the fairy tale elements. We had great episodes like the one where they keep having to change time with Charlie and there's rip-offs of different shows. The finale, although Neuron isn't a great villain at first, the fact that he possesses Ray leads to him being a better villain, and at least his plot makes a bit more sense. I like us delving into Zari's past, per se. There's a lot more to love in this season than people give it credit for. I feel like Mick had a lot more good stuff in this season, and controversial opinion, I actually enjoy Mona as a character more than people think. There's a lot of good comedic moments like the Getaway episode, the Fairy Godmother episode. I'm forgetting a few, but there are quite a few good episodes that were enjoyable. And I feel like people didn't like the mystical elements. I actually found them to be a lot more comedic, and it worked for what they were trying for. So, halfway mark and dead center in the middle of the show is Season 1. I remember at first people never liked season 1, but looking back, I feel like it's a pretty still decent season. Yes, the Hawks are terrible, especially Hawkman. Kendra ruins the end of the season, there's no denying that. Savage is actually a better villain than most people think. Sure, he's a bit iffy at times, but I enjoy him. Rip Hunter is a great character, and this is the beginning of the show. And unlike, say, later seasons, this season of Legends was still very heavily connected to the Arrowverse, constantly tying into previous plot points, since at this point, all the characters, for the most part, were still characters from the previous Arrowverse shows, whereas later seasons stuck to characters who weren't from the Arrowverse, or heck, a lot of them weren't even from DC. Although I still enjoy that original take they had, there's no denying that the first season has a lot of charm to it when they were still figuring things out. Right, going for the bronze medal, we have Season 7. I think this season is a real gem. I'm going to ignore the last 2 minutes of the entire season because it's not their fault they didn't get continued. I understand they could have done it better, but the thing is, if you ignore like the last minute with them getting arrested and just focus on that bit where they just walk back into the Rave Rider and before they get arrested, I honestly think it could have been a great season. I love like the near the ending bit where they're getting shown their futures, and I feel like this could have been a great build-up to them retiring the Legends. You know, a lot of them would have gotten happy endings, which I absolutely loved. Even the beginning of the season was great. The whole, them losing the Wave Rider led to some great episodes where they're on their own and there's a lot of cool dynamics in the past, which means that pretty much the entire season is set in the past, which I absolutely love. Gideon gets to be a huge focus of this season. I mean, the 100th episode is spectacular. Gideon gets to really become a real character, and Gideon turns out to be villain. I love the whole concept of the villain of this season where we've gone so far with the Legends no longer protecting time that now protecting time is a villain in and of itself, and we delve into the philosophical questions of what aspects of history are worth correcting and which ones aren't. I like that way we tie it back into season 1 by, going back to a more cold, calculating Gideon who just wants to protect the past at all costs, and therefore that makes the Legends themselves villains in their eyes. I really like that concept. It almost feels like they're critiquing something that the Legends are critiqued for. Obviously, the first few seasons were about saving history, and the later seasons are a lot more silly and who cares, and some people don't like that, so this is almost a critique of that critique, with Evil Gideon, as she's called, wanting to just purely focus on the timeline at all costs. Also, the evil Legends are absolutely hilarious. I love the way they're really hamming everything up. Having Matt Letcher come back as Reverse Flash was a great idea. Honestly, I feel like this season was really well crafted and also proves that having a 13-episode season leads to a really well crafted season. This season was really great for Spooner and Astra and a lot of other characters. Honestly, if you just ignore like the last 2 minutes with them getting arrested, it's a great season. And honestly, here's the thing. It could have been, if they could just slightly rework the ending, it would have been fine as an ending season, just it ended on a cliffhanger, but I'm not going to hold it against it. All right, 2 to go. And if you're paying attention, you know which 2 it is. Now, this will be controversial of which one made it in top. But in second place, it's the second season. Now, let me say, this is a very close one for which one gets second and first. Second season is an absolutely spectacular season. Some people regard it as the best, and I will not blame you if you say that because it is absolutely amazing. All the best characters are here. Stein is here. Jax is here. Ray is here. We get better characters like Nate and Amaya in this season. We have great episodes like Legion of Doom. We have the Spear of Destiny plot is great. Honestly, the villains are absolutely great in this season. They really still had serious moments, but also had great villains who could be comedic at times. Matt Letcher is amazing and is the best season for Matt Letcher, or even the Reverse Flash in general, honestly. It's why people love him and wish he came back more. The episode with George Lucas is an episode I hold near and dear to my heart because it's what got me into Legends in the first place. The Legion of Doom episode, a great villain episode. Rip Hunter losing his memory and becoming Phil, honestly one of my most comedic highlights. There's heavy-hitting episodes like Shogun, or very heavy-hitting episodes like Abominations, with that stuff in the history. We delve into more historical character elements like George Lucas or J.R.R. Tolkien. There's just everything is well packed into this season. Every character has a great arc, whether it's Sarah becoming hero, whether it's Stein, whether it's characters like Jack's having a great episode in the past, whether it's characters like Nate learning to be a hero, Amaya wanting to track down her villain, the villains all have very logical and reasonable motives why they're doing what they're doing. Doomworld is a perfect episode where you wonder, is this even a bad world? Because a lot of it is good and a lot of it is bad. They make such great villains. Honestly, the way I'm raving about it, you could think this is the top position, and it very, very much could be. But let's go to Season 3. That is the top position. To me, Season 3 represents peak Legends by blending the perfect amount of superhero elements that we had in Season 1 and 2, because we still have characters like Ray and Jax and Stein and so on, but also bringing in characters like Wally and Zari, but also having slightly more silly elements. The Time Loop episode is a great episode. Mullis is a great villain. Bebo, everyone loves Bebo. I know some people don't, but to me, he's great. And, the second half of this season was great. Constantine was used as a recurring character, so he didn't get overbearing like he may get sometimes in later seasons. Mullis is a great villain. That fight scene of Bebo versus Mullis is a perfect way to encapsulate Legends, where it's silly, because it's Bebo fighting a demon, but it's still actually an amazing fight scene with really good CGI and just a really well-crafted fight scene that we played a fight scene series despite it being a giant Bebo. The finale ties everything together by bringing back like the pirates and the Romans and every other villain we've already had. Damien Dark goes on a great journey in this season. We are introduced to characters like Zari, who is really great. Wally comes in, although I wish he stayed in the show more. We Ray gets to meet Nora, we get the tragic demise of Stein, I feel like this season had that perfect blend of still having good serious moments and still being a superhero show, but still loosening itself up, having fun, putting fun at the forefront, but still being great. Whereas some later seasons got a little too silly, or earlier seasons may have been too serious. Season 3 is perfection, and one I always hold near and dear to my heart. I remember watching Season 3 and thinking, wow, this show's only going to get better and better and better, and at that point it had. And, Season 4 wasn't exactly what people were asking for, but I still enjoy all the seasons nonetheless. So, that has been my ranking of every Legend season. Let me know what you think if anyone's actually watching this video, because I'd be really curious, because I understand everyone's got very different opinions. Some people love the way Legends loosened up and really had fun. You can tell the later seasons they were being more carefree. Other people I've seen online really hate the later seasons and love the earlier stuff, and I can understand because the show shifted tones. Honestly, Legends is one where it's a bit more divisive in terms of what people love and don't love. I love the fact that the show was having fun, and I can tell that the characters and writers were just able to loosen up and not be tied down by the Arrowverse or being a serious show, and I respect them for that. But anyway, I will do more Legends. But anyway, I will be ranking other shows' seasons later on. I will rank seasons like Batwoman and Flash and Arrow and Supergirl, and that will be more interesting and divisive as well. So anyway, I will see you next time for more Arrowverse videos and other things as well. See you next time, guys.